very hard to do what they came here from Spain to do, build a colony. Guys, you can't build houses with your bare hands. You need tools to work with. They knew that. They brought tools with them. But as people were working, tools would get damaged and broken. They would need to be repaired. They'd become dull and need to be sharpened. Sometimes new tools would need to be made, but it was vitally important that the people doing the work had tools to work with. Don't worry about that, guys. A terrible shot. But making and repairing tools was just one job. Can you guess what another one might have been? Did they have Home Depot 457 years ago?
No.
No, but they were building houses. Did they need nails and hinges and latches?
Yes.
And chains? Yeah. Back then, all that stuff had to be made by hand by the blacksmiths. Last but not least, cooking utensils.
Oh,
Everybody's got to eat. Somebody's got to cook. The only way they had to cook back then was over fire. But check this out, guys. 457 years ago, they already had low, medium, and high right there at the fingertips. That's called a cooking trammel, and that is the knob on your stove. First time I ever did that left-handed. Now, to make all the stuff that they make, they needed raw material. There's no iron here in Florida.
Oh,
They had to
man.
bring iron and steel with them all the way from Spain, and they
Oh, my
did.
God.
On the very first trip, they brought 6 tons of the stuff.
Ooh.
Already rolled out into rods, bars, straps, and sheets like you see on my back wall back there. Rolled out at mills back in Spain that they built beside rivers so they could use water wheels to turn stone rollers that allowed them to hot roll the metal into rods, bars, straps, and sheets. They also brought all the tools and equipment. Now, the most valuable piece of equipment in any blacksmith shop, the heart of the operation, is that hot fire right there called forge. Now, what I'm burning in my forge is not coal. Just like there's no iron here, there's no coal here. They were making and burning wood charcoal. Now, I know what you're thinking, but guys, don't go home and try to make a sword in your barbecue grill. It won't get hot enough. It can't. Because in your barbecue grill, it's just burning the oxygen that's in the air around it. It's only going to go up to about 600, maybe 700 degrees. Now, that's hot to a cook. That's not hot enough for what we need to do. That's why we use this big air pump back here called the bellows to pump air into our fire. Feeding that fire more oxygen is going to make it burn all the way up to 2,500 degrees. Hot enough to melt steel. But I don't want to melt it, I just want to get it hot to make it soft so that it's easy for me to shape into whatever I need to make. Soft enough I can wave at you guys with it. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
It's not going to break because right now that material is malleable. Can you all say malleable?
Malleable.
When a material is malleable, that means it's easy to change its shape from one shape to another. And that's why the fire is so critical. We have to get that metal very, very hot to make it soft and malleable so that we can shape it. So let's make something here real quick. Now, in a 10-minute demonstration, I don't have time to make anything big and fancy. We have to keep it small and simple, but still historically relevant. I am going to make a nail, but not just any old nail. I'm going to make a nail like the ones they used to build this colony with 457 years ago. Now, the nails back then, well, they didn't look like the ones we use nowadays.
Okay.
Back in those days, the nails were square like these guys, 4 flat sides. The nails we use nowadays aren't square, are they, guys? They're round and smooth. Their nails were square because they were hammered out by hand with hammers. Square just happens to be the fastest, easiest way to get the job done. You want to see if you can help me figure out why square is the best? Are you guys good at math?
Yes.
Let's find out. Let's find out. The hammer flattens the top, the anvil flattens the bottom. Every time I tap, I'm flattening top and bottom. That's 2 sides. If I give it a quarter turn and hit it again, what's 2 times 2?
4.
How many sides does a square have?
4.
We just solved the mystery of why their nails were square. It was the fastest, easiest way to make a nail with a hammer, and that's why they did it that way.
Oh.
So let's get that metal hot. Now guys, blacksmiths do not use thermometers. We judge the heat in the metal by observing the color of the metal itself, not the color of the fire, so don't start talking about blue flames. I don't hammer on flames, I hammer on steel. We go by the color of the metal. When it gets hot enough, the first color it's going to show is one you guys have all heard of. Everybody's heard of red hot, right?
Yeah.
But as it gets hotter and softer, it gets lighter and brighter in color. What's a little bit lighter and brighter than red?
Blue.
Orange. No, like orange.
Orange. So when it gets hotter than red hot, it turns orange. When it gets hotter than orange, it turns yellow. When it gets hotter than yellow, it finally turns white hot. White hot. We never bring it up to white hot. That'll just melt it and ruin the metal. To make a nail, red won't be hot enough. Yellow will be too hot. What color should we go with?
Orange.
Now, we know through the use of modern scientific instruments that orange hot in steel is between 1,600 and 1,800 degrees. That is the temperature of the sparks that will be flying off of my anvil towards this area over here. So guess what this area over here is going to do? Everybody take 3 big steps back.
My bag.
That way you don't get burnt by a hot spark. I don't like burning people. It's a mean thing to do. All right.
Hey, stop.
So let's make sure it's good and orange hot. Get a little bit brighter.
Wow.
And let's make a nail. We'll start by flattening 2 sides. Give it a quarter turn, flatten the other 2 sides. Now I go back and forth on my first 2 sides, stretching the end out longer and thinner, and as I do, I angle the head of my hammer to bring that down to a point. Now, we got our square, sharp, pointy nail, but it's too long, isn't it? We got to cut it down to size. For that, I'll use this hot cutting tool here called the Hardy to tap in 4 deep notches, just like so. Being careful not to cut my nail all the way off, because now I'm going to go back and smooth out my hammer marks to make sure it's nice and smooth and straight. Carpenters hate lumpy nails. They do. But more than that, guys, they hate nails that don't have what? That nail doesn't have a head on it. How in the world are you going to hit the nail on the head if there's not a head on the nail? Well, that's the bad news. Good news is, to put a head on a nail, all you got to do is hit the nail on the head. I know, it sounds like a joke, but that's how it works. Consider this. Have you guys ever played with Play-Doh?
Yes.
If I took a ball of Play-Doh and set it on top of my anvil and squished it just like this, what's going to happen to that ball of Play-Doh? I'm going to have a Play-Doh pancake, ain't it? Because if it can't go anywhere else, it has to spread out and get white. Well, if I get that nail good and hot to make it soft, I put it in a tool to hold it, clamp it down, break it off. I got that little nub of hot metal sticking up. It's just like a piece of Play-Doh. If I squish that with my hammer, it's going to do exactly the same thing, and that's going to form the head of my nail. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head, you'll put a head on the nail. Now, to hold it for me, I'm going to use this little guy over here, which is called a post vise. Let me ask something. Did they have these back then? If you say yes, raise your hand. All right, hands down. If you say no, raise your hand. All right, hands down. If you've been a blacksmith for 23 years, raise your hand. That's right, guys. The yeses have it. If they didn't have these back then, I would not permit one to be in my blacksmith shop. It's actually listed in the inventory of tools they brought with them from Spain, listed as a tornillo de herrero, which is Spanish for blacksmith vice. And here is a picture of one in a woodcut engraving that I obtained from a museum that is reliably certified as made from the 1500s. Boom. Yeah. You can't make up history. It's already happened. It's well documented, well recorded. Those of us who interpret history have a responsibility to do our homework so that we get it right. So again, if they didn't have one, there wouldn't be one in my shop. All right, let's put a head on that nail. Right back up to orange hot. This time I gotta be careful not to melt my nail.
Don't melt it. I'm gonna melt their nail.
I wonder how they got it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, I know. That's hot, isn't it?
Whoa, that's hot.
Whoa.
Whoa is what you say to a mule when you want him to stop. There we go. But wait, there's more. Oh, thank you for volunteering. Everybody watch very carefully as my brave volunteer here who just volunteered to grab this 1,000-degree steel rod barehanded. Go ahead. Ta-da! Now, is that 1,000 degrees?
Yep.
No.
Guys, it's all that in a bag of chips at the other end. I wouldn't hand you the hot end. That would be a mean thing to do. Iron and steel are poor conductors, so the heat travels very slowly through a poor conductor. But the most important thing to take note of, does it have to look hot to be hot? No, it doesn't. It can look just like any other piece of metal in my shop and still be hot enough to take the skin off of you. So we have to pay attention in here and never assume. Never assume. That's why I'm not going to grab that nail with my fingers. It might still be hot. So I made these lovely tongs here. I like these tongs. They remind me of what nice guys us blacksmiths are. Back in those days, there were no dentists yet. If you had to have a tooth pulled, you come see me. I'll take care of you.
Oh, God.
Axe comes, yeah. So here's our nail. It's got a head on it, square, sharp, and pointy, ready to go. Any questions?
How long would it take us to make it?
I can make a nail in under 20 seconds when I'm not demonstrating.
No way.
Yes?
I want a nail.
Because it wasn't made by a machine in a factory, young man. But if you hit that nail with a hammer, is it going to go in?
Yeah.
Bet you it will. Yes, it will. Yes. I don't know. How much money did you bring today? We'll find out. Yeah.
When
Any other questions?
$100.
Yes.
Am I able to hold the same item that she held?
Huh?
Am I able to hold the same?
No, that metal's already cooled now. You saw me put it in the water barrel, so there'd be no point. You'd just be holding a cold piece of metal. Yes.
Even
Oh,
though you
okay.
don't make swords, can you still make them? Like, if you don't make
I
swords.
have, in this day and age, swords are something to hang on the wall and
Hey,
look
20
at.
bucks.
Now, machetes are useful tools. We find that out after every hurricane around here, that machetes are still quite useful tools. So yes, I do make machetes. Yes.
Have you ever accidentally caught on fire?
Only every now and then.
I don't think that's something.
Well, guys, thanks for coming by today. I hope y'all have a great time here in our park. Come back and see us.
Okay.
Huh? You what? You got 20 bucks. Well, stick it in your pocket and save it. Yeah.
Get some candy. Candy. We're back to our tour guide. Time to go back to our tour guide.
Yeah. All right. We're going to the spring house. Function.